Canadian, please. Even if in winter things tend to freeze, we got the world monopoly on trees, and our country's bordered by 3 different seas.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. We invented the zipper, we got expertise. We made insulin to combat disease. Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
We're together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas, you with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
Et si ce n'était pas assez, on a 2 langues officielles, l'anglais et le français. Ooh la la.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. Where else do you find mounted police or go to the hospital and not pay fees? I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
And when fresh water's in high demand, we got the world's largest supply on hand. So you know that we can make a pretty good friend, but it's even better if you can be
together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas, you with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
So you're thinking to yourself, how do I live in this beautiful country? Well, I've got some steps for you to follow.
Step 1, lose the gun. Step 2, buy a canoe. Step 3, live multiculturally. Step 4, you ready? There is no war. We got beavers, caribou, and moose. We got buffalo bears, a Canadian goose. And we're sorry about Celine Dion, but she did do that good song for James Cameron.
Socrates can build a wall like the Chinese, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. In Kenya they have safaris with mixed lots of other countries, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la gloire. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus belles.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. Even if in winter things tend to freeze, we got the world monopoly on trees, and our country's bordered by 3 different seas.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. We invented the zipper, we got expertise. We made insulin to combat disease. Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
We're together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas, you with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
Et si ce n'était pas assez, on a 2 langues officielles, l'anglais et le français. Ooh la la.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. Where else do you find mounted police or go to the hospital and not pay fees? I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
And when fresh water's in high demand, we got the world's largest supply on hand. So you know that we can make a pretty good friend, but it's even better if you can be
together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas, you with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
So you're thinking to yourself, how do I live in this beautiful country? Well, I've got some steps for you to follow.
Step 1, lose the gun. Step 2, buy a canoe. Step 3, live multiculturally. Step 4, you ready? There is no war. We got beavers, caribou, and moose. We got buffalo bears, a Canadian goose. And we're sorry about Celine Dion, but she did do that good song for James Cameron.
We're together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas, you with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The Greeks all chill with Socrates can build a wall like the Chinese, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. Even if in winter things tend to freeze, we got the world monopoly on trees, and our country's bordered by 3 different seas.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. We invented the zipper, we got expertise. We made insulin to combat disease. Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
We're together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas chill with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
Et si ce n'était pas assez, on a 2 langues officielles, l'anglais et le français. Ouh là là.
Yeah, I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. Where else do you find mounted police or go to the hospital and not pay fees? I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
And when fresh water's in high demand, we got the world's largest supply on hand. So you know that we can make a pretty good friend, but it's even better if we can be.
We're together, monarchy, the U.S. has the money, but I know that you wanna be Canadian. The French together, wine and cheese, koalas chill with the Aussies, but I know that you wanna be Canadian.
So you're thinking to yourself, how do I live in this beautiful country? Well, I've got some steps for you to follow.
Step 1, lose the gun. Step 2, buy a canoe. Step 3, live multiculturally. Step 4, you ready? There is no war. We got beavers, caribou, and moose. We got buffalo bears, a Canadian goose. And we're sorry about Celine Dion, but she did do that good song for James Cameron.
At least it doesn't like last for forever. And Discord's being weird. Fantastic. All right, I am here. I am paying attention. We've got the stream going. We are joined by Trucker Matt or Pumpkin Trucker, and we're also joined by Arms Killer because he's awesome and he's gonna do a little Kermit for us.
Because fuck you, I feel contractually obligated to do this shit.
Well, that and I think BG threatened you with your children or something.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
No, but okay. I mean, I'm just kidding. We're both passionately about this channel, but like at the end of the day, it's like one of us goes down, and one of us has to pick up the slack, and she did.
Yeah, no,
last
exactly.
week too, in terms of Canadian news, do you know what's going on up here? The same shit as last week.
So Trudeau's being a prick.
Yeah.
Some of the other politicians are being a prick. So standard affair in that regard.
Yeah, it's just less expensive this time because he's doing it at home instead of overseas. Yeah, his trip overseas was a photo op. I know, it's like, I was there for the support of Ukraine. I'm like, it was a photo op.
Yeah, I hear that the good old British did not exactly take too kindly to someone like him being within our shores. Which, mass respect to the British, yo!
Mass respect to your queen for really masking her opinion of people so well. Because I think she's just really a nice person to everyone. She's not political. Stop making her political people who are really into like the royals and stuff.
The Queen's we legit had a civil war like 500 years ago. No, I threw Miss Piggy into the fucking meat grinder. So no, we're not gonna be hearing from Miss Piggy. I wouldn't even say it's unfortunate considering I was the one that pushed her in it, but I'm going to hell.
I'd say the bigger kick is on the comment of Elizabeth being nice to everybody. You want to ask that to Diana? I mean, she's not nice to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Queen's only human in that regard, but still, But yeah, I heard we had a brief protest in London because of Trudeau's appearance, which...
Yeah, they ended up bringing him in through the back entrance as though that was going to stop people from knowing about it or making fun of him for it. Or making fun of Boris for it. Like, come on,
the thing is Trudeau really does stand as someone, or represents the things that every British person is against.
Mm-hmm. Like the
You
rich
know?
kid who's basically his whole career is based off his dad.
Well, it's not even that. It's really, what happened in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
just the usage of emergency powers for such a purpose,
Yeah, the I am so awesome. Look at me save the world as I demonstrate for you what a dictator is to his own people. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't exactly claim to despise Putin whilst being the closest thing to Putin.
Mm-hmm.
It really is hypocritical, uh, but again, it's what every what he really does go against the sensibilities of Britain. You know, sure, that's not to say Britain hasn't had a shady past, but yeah, when we hear someone invoking emergency powers like that, we think, "Fuck you, bro."
Mm-hmm.
We think, "What a fucking cunt." We don't think, "Oh wow, yeah, going against those,"
Well, that's just it. Like he's such a coward. Like he
He
is
is.
such a coward. No one really likes to see that demonstrated in public. We're like who is scary? Like the Canadians are scary, right? We're really scary.
Yeah,
Watch as I threaten Trucker with my scary Canadianness. Hi, Trucker.
yeah, and apparently I need to be turned down audio wise because I'm apparently really bloody loud. In which case, how? But also, fair enough.
Yeah, I just look so gimpy right now doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that no more though. I don't do the limp wrist thing because I actually do work for a living. I do
Yeah,
lift things sometimes that are heavier than I like.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah. When it comes to Trudeau, I doubt
Mhm.
anybody in Britain will actually like the guy. We already hate Boris Johnson for the bullshit he's been pulling.
Well, it's the two-facedness right in front of you. It's the assuming that you're too dumb to catch on. It's a demonstration of hypocrisy, which people really don't like. You know,
Yeah,
because
and
for
it's the
mm,
lack of a proper leader.
mhm.
You know, Trudeau and Boris Johnson have both proven to people that they aren't good leaders.
it's
You know,
it's also demanding compassion from people, well, yet again repeatedly demonstrating that you don't actually understand compassion, like
it's not even about.
well, for me anyway.
This may sound cynical, but it's that they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to people like Trudeau and Boris Johnson, they absolutely do not give a fuck about their people and their constituent. They don't give a fuck because so long as they're in the way of what they want, they will actively try and go against it. And with Trudeau, it was absolutely proven by, using emergency powers to suppress a fucking protest.
Well, that he can't even handle a little bit of criticism, like a little bit of criticism, oh my god, it's terrorism.
Yeah, and in the case of Boris Johnson, it is the outright floundering of the rules that he had
Mhm.
established himself. You know?
Yeah, they all
Yeah,
have.
John.
I think they all have. I don't think I've seen a single picture where there wasn't a politician on any side who wasn't somewhere hanging out with their friends in some posh restaurant or doing something who
Yeah,
weren't just like, I don't think any of you are taking it seriously, so why the hell are you asking us to?
and worse still is that they were doing this at a time where people couldn't see their loved ones in hospitals because
Hmm.
bullshit.
And yeah, there were people dying on both sides. Like, there were people who died from COVID. Yeah. There were people who they asked to kill themselves with the shots. Sorry, Susan. I know I'm not gonna get us in trouble for that. But you know,
Oh, absolutely, Hawk Silk. That is absolutely the reason why England was one of the first to just completely drop everything.
Well, kill themselves with a shot. Wasn't there some old lady who, when they talked about the second round of lockdowns, she chose euthanasia because she would be alone?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Where was that?
it's just COVID has definitely proven or has definitely shown everyone that politicians do not care about you, the individual. Do
They
not care and do not care about the lower classes.
and
You
they're
know,
happy to exploit you. I mean, that's the
oh
thing.
yeah,
People in power are always kind of happy to exploit you. Sometimes it's
and
just about making money, sometimes it's about looking good, sometimes they're trying to help you. But right now, most of them are on their own side, it seems.
they're always on their own side.
Hmm.
And it sounds cynical of me to say, but that's the thing. When you're at the top, you kind of have to maintain your position at the top because the balance of power can shift at any possible time. The last thing you want to worry about is you losing your position because of some bullshit power shift. So in that regard, yeah. But I think we are deviating from a point if there is a point.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to see if maybe I can mute one of my devices because people are saying that I'm being drowned out by you, which doesn't make sense. So I'm just checking it for my audio mixer.
Actually, how I know I'm going into ob speak now, but how's your audio output capture? Is that just hitting red like immediately?
Yeah.
Whenever I talk, you might
Mhm.
want to turn that down a little.
Okay, let's try this. All right, talk.
Yeah, it won't change necessarily on your end, but it will change the audio for the audience.
No, I have an actual mic. It's actually right in front of me. That's kind of why I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I can move the mic closer to me. We can ASMR it.
Oh, Trucker is low in comparison as well. It might be on Discord then.
Okay.
It's like the fact I'm
I
not
mean,
really saying anything yet might actually contribute to that as well.
fair play. But yeah,
To be fair, people, the audience, I've had Discord plugged back into my phone for about a week. Give me a break. On a Bluetooth that I've had it for a week.
I jumped in here earlier to see. I jumped in here earlier to see if it was Discord or if it was Jen's mic that I thought was above her head. And the problem is that in Discord, Jen, you are the exact same as Arms.
Yeah,
But,
because the mic here doesn't have anything to do with my mic here. Like this guy doesn't even have a plug-in for the mic. It's just for the audio. My mic is right here.
It is really odd.
technical issues, everybody. You know.
I mean, I did turn the audio output capture down, so I don't know if that helped. Maybe it's also the video capture because I think Blue said something about me.
Video output capture. You should have that up.
Audio output capture is Discord and
Here, let's try that.
everything
Oh, you
in
know
the
what? I think I
background.
fixed it. Is that
Oh
better?
shit! I pushed the wrong button. Sorry.
And especially if it was audio relative to Jen, because audio input capture, it would be recording Jen's.
Well, Jen, what you can do is you can open up Discord and right click on Arms Killer's name and turn him
Yeah,
down just a tad, and then that should influence your
I
stream.
did that already.
Okay.
Yeah, he's at 65 right now.
All right. Well,
damn
hey.
it! Not at 69. No, damn it! God
Right?
damn it!
I thought about it, but I was like, it's a lot of effort for
Yeah.
Discord.
Comedy versus functionality. Yeah, let's all blame Trudeau. Trudeau's a bitch.
All
Actually
right.
saw an interesting conversation yesterday. They were talking to an MP about Trudeau and specifically his use of the emergency powers. And somebody was asking a was it CMP, MCP, MC, whatever the hell body up there you got.
RCMP?
I don't know, some blonde chick. Anyway,
Oh,
a guy was at there was like someone was doing like a online like a video press conference or something, and one guy, it was his turn to ask a question. He asked her um, when it came to the Freedom Convoy back then and Trudeau's use of the Emergency Powers Act, what laws were they breaking before they or what laws were they breaking to cause him to invoke that? And her answer was, well, there are 8 laws that can trigger the Emergency Powers Act without, without saying if the truckers were breaking any of those 8 laws. So figure that one out.
yeah, no, that's a bullshit answer, which is effectively her saying, we got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I saw that on, was that Clyde Do Something's channel this
Because
morning?
worst case scenario is public menacing, and that's because the trucks are too loud, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they keep bringing that up like it was still a thing, and I'm
And
still.
like it justifies like half the actions that occurred on the government side of things.
Well, yeah, I mean, like honking versus what? Burning down buildings and actually raiding businesses and shit. Like they're still complaining like they think that there was graffiti left. I'm like, no, those guys were cleaning everything because they were bored. And the
If
noise control thing, I'm still just like, for everybody who's like, oh, there was noise, I'm like, I know people from there. It's not just BG. There's other people who've spoken out and been like, you guys are full of shit. Like, yes, they were loud for the first 4 days, which was on the weekend, like a rave on the weekend.
but either way, it's
Mm-hmm.
just even if that was the case,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not justification to. All right, so let's remember the sequence of events. It started with the appropriation, illegally so, of essentials.
Yep.
You know, and the placement of snipers as if that was even remotely acceptable. And that was by the provincial government. Then the federal government gets involved, and hey ho, you got the Emergencies Act. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the whole appropriating of the essentials of fuel and shit was done before the Emergencies Act, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yep.
And then, Trudeau uses the Emergencies Act illegally, and it absolutely fucking is.
They also set up a
Like,
bunch of barriers in between that too, so it made it a lot more difficult for the truckers to even move out of the area to begin with. Like they were trying to leave at least a path open for people. They did have at least one car lane everywhere. But, when you have the police countering that by blocking everything else, it's like, okay, well, what else were they supposed to do? I mean, I
and
get it.
hello,
What you want them
Fred.
to do is to go home, but they have a right to protest.
Yeah. Well, clearly fucking not if
That's
Trudeau can just suddenly
Mhm.
pull emergency powers out of his ass.
Well, that's just it. That all they've really done is they've proven that as long as you hold views where you don't show support to Prime Minister Trudeau or some of his affiliates, you're not allowed to protest. You are not a protester, you are a terrorist. Or you support
Well,
terrorists.
At least
let's
the
be fair,
last.
when it comes to y'all's constitution or establishing documents up there, doesn't it include what they call the notwithstanding clause, which pretty much says that we, the government, can say none of this shit exists for any reason?
Well, the British do, unfortunately, when it comes to freedom of speech.
I wouldn't be surprised if virus isn't far off. I'm not really sure. Like BG usually knows that one. Hey, it's Useless Riverball. Hello. Hello.
I just remembered something I heard Viva Fry talking about at one point, where he had mentioned that
Mhm.
up there y'all have the notwithstanding clause, where they say they have this right notwithstanding this, which pretty much invalidates whatever right just got put out anyway. It's like the word but
Yeah.
in a sentence.
But yeah, the time before the last time any emergency powers was used in the Western world, it was a little mustache man after a fucking fire at one of their buildings. And I'm saying the time before last because the last
Mhm.
time would be Pierre Trudeau. And I'm assuming the state of emergency would probably technically count in that regard as well. But my point is the mustache man used emergency powers to become a even more powerful mustache man and engage in acts that would result in a whole world war.
Against political opponents.
Yeah, specifically it was the Reichstag fire. And when the powers were enacted, it pretty much gave the mustache man the power to ban all of his political opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Every single fucking one of them, even though it was like one guy that actually burnt down the Reichstag.
Well, that's what makes it so convenient, because his second in command just happens to have a grandfather who just happened to have been a member of the Nazi Party. They've proven it already. They did the link. They're like, yeah, she's got that history. I would like
Jesus
to not hold it
Christ.
against her. I'd like to, but I'm sorry,
Well,
her actions with the WEF.
Imagine that.
Our minister, like a minister of foreign affairs and finance. Now finance
Go
Holy
figure.
shit.
It's just like
Go
Imagine
figure.
that.
Go figure. You got a member with ties to that particular party, and a prime minister whose father is of questionable birth to a certain Cuban.
Cuban.
even if he wasn't, his dad was into that kind of stuff. You know, he was into the dictators. He wasn't into the communists. He was into how to control the population. You know, he was into that stuff. You know,
So are you
it's
saying? So you saying Pierre's getting those Maduro? We're getting those Maduros up in places where the sun don't shine before his life.
mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is Pierre Trudeau would probably have studied a mustache man as well.
Mm-hmm. He just I just think he just came from a different generation. Like Pierre just knew how to present himself. Trudeau is still a clown. I think his dad would be looking at him going like, I get what you're going with, son, but I don't understand it. You're kind of weird.
This kid's got spirit.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this boy's got spirit.
Like,
Old Pierre's turning around in his grave, going, thinking to himself, "Boy, subtlety.
mhm,
You got to be subtle about it."
mhm.
And maybe not hiding away right before he enacts said emergency powers.
Well, it made him seem so weak. Like, honestly, Pierre would have just dealt with it. He would have talked to them, to be honest, because there was nobody in that community that was scary.
Well, yeah, even then, when you see interviews between Pierre Trudeau and when Justin Trudeau speaks, it's radically different.
Mhm.
Pierre is like,
A man. He has
full
balls.
blown, we will not let these terrorists. I went into a weird accent that wasn't French, or even butchered French.
Sounded like somewhere between a butchered Italian and a butchered German.
Close fucking enough. But yeah, he's like, we do not negotiate with terrorists, and Justin is like, Sexists and homophobes.
Mhm.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I still love the whole irony about they're sitting there saying honk honk is it's another thing for a certain Heil something.
Heil Mustache Man, yeah.
Yeah, Heil Mustache
E-
Man.
Even though
They're saying,
it's simply two onomatopoeias.
well, when you think about it, for the most part, it's still saying all the truck drivers are, the truck drivers saying honk honk, which is, Hail Mustache Man, because they're against papers, please.
Exactly.
Like, the fuck?
What? Yeah, exactly. And then we're looking at Ukraine right now, and people are actually like, "Oh yeah, there might be some people that see Kyle in Ukraine, but that's
Oh
fine
no,
because
there definitely are.
It's
There
yeah,
definitely is. Specifically the Azov Battalion.
it's something that also got stuck in my head, and I know that that's probably conspiracy theory land, and I'm sorry, everybody's got one of those. But I suspect that Ukraine is hiding probably weapons too. And I'm not saying they're
oh
hiding them because they're planning to use them. I'm saying that they're probably selling them.
Well,
it wouldn't be a
if you're
surprise if
talking
that
about the good.
it wouldn't be a surprise if there was genuinely something for NATO to be defending Ukraine in the way they are. You know,
I was going to say
no,
if they're talking about the biological research facilities, biolabs,
Yeah.
they're sitting there saying, "Oh, there's no." Yeah, everybody's quote unquote fact checking, saying there are no foreign biological research facilities in Ukraine. Nobody ever said it was foreign. They were foreign. They were all native. Run by people native to Ukraine, so they are Ukrainian biological research facilities. But the problem is, who's paying for it?
Mhm. And it's not something that I'm judging them that harshly for. Like I could, but here's the thing: I'm aware of their history. That's why I'm willing to bet that they probably do. Like
yeah,
their history is
Well,
not the same as ours. So the idea that they are
well, no,
finding ways to defend themselves.
I can't
exactly.
remember who it was, but somebody in the Senate in
Mhm.
the U.S. Senate hearing just the other day admitted that the laboratories are there, but they're admitting those laboratories are there, admitting that they're making bioweapons, and that they're not admitting,
Mhm.
but they're admitting that they are there.
Mhm.
That there are facilities.
And
Yes.
And as controversial as this is going to sound, but I quite frankly do not see a problem with the idea of a country having that kind of facility.
no, I also don't see a problem with your neighbors being a little bit concerned if you do build one, though. It's
Yeah,
kind of a
exactly.
mixture of both. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I don't have a problem with them doing that because, for all they're using that for other things. Like, a lot of that technology goes towards like running cities. Here's a thought: they live in Ukraine. Ukraine is kind of not too far off from Russia. It's a snow
Yeah,
biome, which means
I
It's
that
like
saw
they
they're
that.
right
need they
next
need
door or something.
yes. So I mean, if that was going towards something like that, I could understand that. But at the same time, though, Russia and Ukraine don't have a good history. So one of the two wanting to know what's actually going on and seeing so much sniff up from the Americans, I would be suspicious too. Do I
I
justify
swear,
their actions? No, but I understand
Western
them.
media, Western media has done a great disservice to what's happening in Ukraine.
Hmm.
I
And they're
swear,
using them as a meat shield, is what they're doing.
yeah, it's because here's the thing: what Putin is doing is fucked up.
Hmm.
There is no this, that, or the other. The Ukrainians are fighting for their fucking lives there.
Hmm. Yeah, for the
But the
record,
thing
I'm
is,
not on the side of Russia either. I'm just saying
yeah,
that
oh yeah,
like if
fuck
if
Russia.
uh if Mexico was building that shit, the Americans would be absolutely paying attention to what they were doing. Now, is it because they're against them taking care of themselves? No.
Yeah. Well, there are many reasons as to why Russia would be so blatant as to or would
Mm.
invade Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
There are plenty of reasons.
there's
We
history.
and there's history.
Hmm.
There are many tactical reasons for Russia to go at Ukraine.
Hmm. And
You
economic
know,
reasons too.
yeah, but yeah, but yeah, but I wait. The one thing is that Western media needs to fucking calm down and actually try and honestly talk about Ukraine,
Hmm.
because all it's doing is it's hurting the perception of Ukraine
Hmm.
in conflict. It's so pro-Ukraine to such a fault that it's getting people like us thinking.
Yeah,
You know?
because it's the little people who are being thrown under the bus with this thing. And that's where I stand. Like, I'm not on the side of Russia, but at the same time though, I'm not necessarily on the side of Ukraine, because they've done some stuff over the last couple of weeks that wasn't really good either. And it's in defense. So I understand why they're doing it. It's the part where it hurts innocent people, because I'm a peacekeeper, that I have to be that person, the annoying person who's just like, I just don't like seeing innocent people on either side
I
getting hurt.
I distrust the Ukrainian
Hmm.
government, not
Hmm.
necessarily its people.
Exactly.
You know?
Hmm.
Because the people are they are rightly pissed off and fighting
Hmm.
against it, you know? But the government I do not trust, and trust as far as I can throw an entire government entity, which is not far at all,
Well,
not far at all.
it's something that I edged upon earlier today too. Was just like the knowledge that the Ukrainian refugees are having such a hard time crossing anywhere, like getting across the border, getting to you guys, getting to us. And it's because the people who are cheering them on are making it harder for them to do so. Why?
Mm.
I stand by my opinion. The Ukrainians wouldn't vote for these people. They wouldn't. I mean, to get across the seas, they would. If you're escaping a war zone, you'll say whatever the fuck you want to get your family across. But once you're here and you're free and you realize that, yeah, Justin Trudeau's kind of the same piece of shit as the people that were running your own country, only he's doing it to a country that has the freedom for you to defend it, they're not going to vote for you. So, no, they're not letting them cross the border.
Well, let's be fair. For the most part, most of the Ukrainians are probably going to end up in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
At least they're going to get there, and then they're going to realize that they went from the government they hate to the government that the people they hate bought.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
There's always that little bit of correlation that you kind of see from this, and I feel really bad, because there probably are people who just want to get away for a bit. However, I did see another thread, and yet again, this is the internet. You find one thread, you find another thread that counters it, but it's saying
A
something
fucking
about
rabbit hole.
a bunch of the refugees are trying to go home. I'm like, okay, you know, who knows?
Aye.
Hi.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I will say to an extent they are. That is the point of being a refugee. It's to go to another country until things die down, which it does seem to be happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good if that's what's happening.
Now, I don't know, because the amount of ceasefires which apparently Russia have completely just not agreed to, or have agreed but have turned back on.
You know what?
Um,
This is
what?
part of the problem with not being able to trust your media. Is they could think that it's getting better, and now they're sending the refugees home, because these people are so they. I have a problem
Go
with their
back
media.
and
Mm-hmm. I could see them doing that.
oh yeah, yeah. And the people that get most affected by this
Mm-hmm.
aren't the fucking Ukrainian government or the Russian government. It's the fucking people. You
Yeah.
know, it's the people that have no actual involvement to the backyard politics of it all. It's those that, you know, that, have no real reason to be lumped in. Because there is something I've noticed is there's been a lot of anti-Russian hatred just for the sake of them being Russian,
Yeah.
which it's like, dude.
Mm-hmm. It's been absolutely interesting in the most horrific way to watch the same people who would be horrified if you did that to any other war victim or somebody fleeing war, but it's okay to do it to Russians.
Yeah, it's like, if I remember correctly, there was a Russian pianist, I
Mm,
think, that got kicked out of this is in Canada,
that's
kicked out of
bad.
the orchestra. I forget what orchestra specifically, purely for being Russian, even though apparently he has expressed distaste towards the Russian government.
Mm-hmm.
He has said he does not agree with this war, and they've just fucking thrown him under the bus.
Yeah. I You know what I haven't heard that from though?
Pianist.
The hockey community.
Sorry, I'm just clarifying. Pianist, someone that plays the piano.
Mm-hmm. No, but the one community I haven't heard that from is legit the hockey community. I guess the hockey community is like legit, our Russian friends are our Russian friends, and they're also really good hockey players.
Yeah,
Like Ukraine, but we do have a lot of Russian um hockey players. We probably have Ukrainian ones too, but here's the thing, on a hockey team, it doesn't matter if you're from Russia or Ukraine. You're still gonna have to play together.
yeah,
We used to be a melting pot. Hello?
yeah. Exactly, Red. Almost like that very same moustache man that had a certain distaste for a certain group of people because he
Mm-hmm.
was an absolute cunt.
Like if Gani Malkin. Yes. If Jenny. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right, Big Joe.
I guess on the bright side is, as opposed to the '80s, at least this time the entire ballet won't try to defect. They'll stay their asses in Russia this time around.
Ooh. Ooh.
Where the hell
Yeah.
did they try to defect to back in the '80s? That was either
uh
the U.S. or Canada. The,
Jesus Christ, this is before my fucking time.
let me look that up. I think that was Reagan when that happened. The entire Russian ballet showed up somewhere for some performance, and once they got there, they said, "We all defect."
Yeah, we all like it in America. We would like place here, please.
1970.
So that's even pre Reagan. Maybe even during
Rudolph Nureyev.
70s. That could be during Nixon's time, or even
Yeah.
if it's a little bit earlier, maybe Lyndon
So
B. Johnson
I'm not sure. They defected. He defected to France.
to France.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, the French are good for something. What a
Oh wait.
surprise!
I'm sorry.
Sometimes.
Nureyev was actually 1961.
1961. Fuck, that's Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm trying to remember. At one point, it was
a lot
actually a
of
big
Russians
joke.
have defected.
Yeah, a lot of Russians. It was at. I want to say it was the late '70s, early '80s. At one point, it was like the entire ballet defected.
They're like, fuck this. We don't dance for Soviet Union anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Piece of shit won't even give me a good car.
But like I said, they're not just gonna happily let Ukrainian refugees across the border to North America. Not necessarily. I mean, it's not going to be at all the same in terms of treatment to how they were with any other country over the last 10 years.
I think a part of that is because of the Syrians as
Mm-hmm.
well, the Syrian conflict. Because during that conflict, it wasn't.
It's
Would it
also
be?
amazing how many of them aren't really liberal.
Oh, Eastern Europe. Exactly, Hawk Silk. But yeah, you're. Sorry, say what you're going to say again, because I've lost my train of thought.
Well, it's just like I said, like when they were letting in all those Syrians, yes, some of them were liberal. Most of them are conservative in their values. When you sit down and talk to them about what they're voting for, a lot of them are a lot more conservative than I am. Actually, I'm more
Yeah.
center.
It's not even about them
Mm,
being conservative, but when it comes to the Syrian, many of them weren't Syrian refugees. They were coming from everywhere,
well, yeah.
much.
Well,
You know,
they were also making it harder for the ones that were not just from Syria, but also Christians from Syria, or like Christians from Muslim countries who were being prosecuted.
it was just,
Mhm.
I think, I think because of the whole exploitation of that by those that probably would have otherwise never been considered fucking refugees, I think that's also probably put a little bit of skepticism towards refugees from Ukraine, as fucked up as that is.
Mm. Yeah, big no, sorry, Red was talking about hearing something about Ukraine launching biological weapons on their own people. I did hear that yesterday. I couldn't find the article again cuz I was going to try and share it with BG cuz she asked me for those. But the thing is on Twitter
Oh,
is if you don't save it and screen capture it, they will delete it before you get a chance
Oh
to.
yeah. Oh, they
So,
yeah.
absolutely. That is the nature
Holy,
of the internet. It doesn't forget, but it will absolutely try and forget.
so if you don't catch it in
holy
time.
crap! Gassing their own people. That's Iraq and the Kurds all over again.
Well, it's not just that. They were shooting at reporters. Like there was some reporters that were filming the refugees and they were just getting shot at, and one of the guys managed to escape, but his buddy died. Like they're not gonna they don't know what happened to his body, but he knows he got shot in the neck. So
If this is a legitimate, if one is considering it a legitimate war zone, unless you're a medic, you're a target just like everybody else.
mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
that is the nature of war.
Yep.
But yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
that whole conflict is a shit show. It really fucking is. And yeah, the more it comes out, the more and more it just looks horrible for the Ukrainian government.
Yeah.
And it's because of Western media and their big fucking mouths.
Mm.
Sometimes it's better to not say anything for fuck's sake. You know?
Well, there's that, and I hate to tell this one too, but the TDS syndrome that hasn't disappeared is also a problem. Like the fact that these people still have TDS when like it's been 2 years after the fact, and they're talking about Ukraine,
Oh my
but it's
god,
still
what?
there.
Oh my god, when what Trump said about it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's a mean
Oh my
grandpa.
fucking god. Yeah. I think he's officially embraced the shitposter status. Especially when he said, yeah, let's attack the Russians with Chinese planes. Fucking hell.
Well, it's almost like a cat with a toy, because he knows he's gonna get a reaction if he does this, and
Yeah,
then he watches it.
exactly.
And the liberals fall for it every time. I'm like, you're just entertaining the old man. You do realize that, right?
Oh yeah.
He doesn't need to run for politics. The dude is rich. He can do whatever the fuck he wants and be happy with
Yeah.
himself,
I
and never give a shit about your opinion.
I think it seems more likely that it would be a horrible idea for Trump to run in 2024.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's just gonna be rigging everywhere.
Well, it's not that, but it just seems that, It just seems that
I think it would bring up more of the crazy.
it wouldn't just do that, but it
Mhm.
just seems that the time of a Trump presidency has passed.
It
Now,
would bring out all the it would bring out all the crazies. But look at it this way: when it comes to Trump, look how many people are running around in the U.S. right now rocking Trump 2024 flags.
I know.
The man even hasn't even announced, whether he will or will not run yet. And you got half the people that are already campaigning for him.
Yeah.
He hasn't even said he's going to run.
Yeah.
also, actually, interestingly, a completely irrelevant point, but relevant to the chat. Yeah, NATO has long since served its purpose, by the way.
It,
The reason the fucking NATO was formed was because post World War II, practically all Western countries were economically fucked, and the only one that actually made it out remotely well would be the United States, especially considering that World War II actually got them out of their depression. But Europe was just screwed. And NATO was legit formed so that the US could pump resources into Europe to prevent the spread of communism. And, since the 90s, then NATO have not been needed. Yeah, exactly. Hulk Silk. NATO should have gone when the USSR did.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even mainly for that was exclusively its purpose. Its purpose was to go up against the USSR. But yeah. But hey, speaking of things that have gone awry since its original intent, the European Union.
Oh
That is
yes.
all.
The totally we don't want to be globalists in charge of everything people. Yes, the other group.
Yeah, it seems like a fucking recurring theme that the moment, like, a 20th century organization that has long since served its purpose refuses to fucking die, and as a result, and in its attempt to not die, it becomes corrupt and authoritarian as fuck.
Yep.
Ah, fucking.
and for
Boy, does it
shits and
want to
giggles,
eat
let's
you.
throw the UN into that mix as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely the UN. When you have countries like China and Saudi Arabia on I forget the specific
Human
council
Rights
name.
Council.
Yes, that one. When you have those two fucking countries, China, you want to talk about Islamophobia? There's fucking China.
Right? Right?
And you want to talk about sexism and racism?
There's China.
Fucking Saudi and China, but Saudi Arabia.
And if you want to talk
Oh.
about racism, there's China. Sorry.
Well, when it comes to
Saudi
this point,
Arabia
I
still
like China too.
engages in Saudi Arabia
Well,
still engages in full-blown fucking slavery, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
well, at this point, as far as China goes, I wouldn't call China Islamophobic. At this point, they're just cattle farmers, and they consider the Muslims cattle. I mean, you got to
Yeah,
get all them organs from somewhere.
You could argue they're going full genocidal mode.
You could argue that if they could figure out a way to eat them, they would probably do that too. I'm just saying, China's
no,
very
I mean-
practical like that. They're like, if you can make it into food, why not? Not
Honestly,
everything.
Hawk Silk, thank God I was too young to vote in Brexit. I'd be 16. Because I was a fucking idiot in 2016. Because Brexit is absolutely the best thing for Britain.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah.
The thing is these big organizations need to be dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely do. problem is yeah, don't be Hawk Silk. I'm only 22 tomorrow.
Yeah, you're young. You still have the rest of this shit to live through.
I know, right? Fucking shoot me.
I do.
Kermit's feeling really suicidal right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You know what the thing with struggle is usually it doesn't last forever, and then you make it to the other side. So all you got to do is you got to find the perfect bomb shelter in London, which you can do because you're in London. Because you're in London.
Yeah, close enough, but yeah, Jesus Christ.
I mean, sure, it's probably gonna be a shithole, rat hole, but you know they're there.
At this point, I might as well dig my own fucking fallout shelter.
Right?
It'll probably be more fucking effective at this point.
Like, I don't know that we're necessarily gonna hit World War III, at least not in the same extent as actual World War One and Two. But I think the economic collapse.
I do not think it will turn to nuclear weapons immediately.
I think it's gonna be economic collapse. That's what I think it's gonna be. That's my real prediction. Because we're all kind of already there. You know?
It's just if we do go out into full World War III, I do not think the nuclear option would be even a fucking viable idea. Because, it's simply too destructive. That even during wartime, that would be a last resort. Because exactly, Hawk Silk also puts another point. Yeah, the fallout. We don't have fallout shelters. We have bomb shelters, but we do not have fallout shelters.
That's right. You probably do need a fallout shelter. I was just thinking of the bomb crisis that you guys had because, like, you did have one.
Yeah.
But yeah, different weapons.
Yeah, until we kicked the Germans' asses in the Battle of Britain.
But I'm more inclined to see like people zombies because this is the thing that I've been really realizing around me. It's just how easy it is to turn your neighbors are easy to turn against you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that sounds fucked up.
Your family is easier to turn against you than I thought. Your connections to people are easier to be broken than I thought.
It depends. Mm-hmm. It depends because I think this kind of shit, it's taken several generations to get to the point where you can't trust your own family.
Mm-hmm.
Type deal. I don't, and it also depends on the family.
I think they've been working on this shit for a very long time. It's just that they don't know in the get-go, they didn't know what they were doing. They still don't know what they're doing, but it's messed up generations.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of the damage that has been done in our modern time, it's been done over decades, centuries, if not even fucking millennia. This stuff hasn't just fucking suddenly happened to us. All of this has been slowly creeping up. And you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist to think that there is this divide between classes.
That's always been there.
Yeah, it's always been there. And it will continue to be there, whether we like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what we do, and no, communism will never fucking work. Because whether communists like to admit it or not, all they will be doing is establishing a class-based system, but different, yo.
Hey. Communism just has not been properly tried yet. All right, I just threw up in my mouth a little saying that.
Fucking knew you would. But yeah, no, it's like
communism. Communism, socialism, when it boils down to it, it goes against humans' very nature.
Exactly. But And the Stalinist shit absolutely is the logical result of communism. The idea that the state owns everything and you, the individual, own nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the idea of private property is no longer exists, you're going to need a governing body. You're going to need a kind of structure.
It's not even just that. Like their concept of something that's going to be owned by the public is never really owned by the public. It's owned by the
Oh
government.
hell no!
It's owned
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
government. So they can take that away at any given time. Which is why they want it.
Exactly. You know, and the people that push for communism are either idealistic children, and I know I'm saying that, you know, considering how old I am, but it's either idealistic children or some of the most authoritarian motherfuckers you'll ever know.
Yes.
You know,
Well, we can elaborate on that one and say it's either people who have never had to work for a living or those who want to tell everybody else how to make their living.
Mm-hmm.
mm. And it's also why corporations absolutely would love communism. You know, why put any effort for our product when we can just force them to consume our product?
It's
Because
also
hey,
Are you, so which one are you talking about in that sense? One, Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca?
exactly.
Too close.
No, but you're absolutely right. What why worry about the quality of a product when, oh hey, they can't choose, and we're here
You're
to go.
forced to consume the product, and the manufacturers of said product are immune from any kind of damages caused by said product.
here's the
Exactly.
here's the thing. They're already low key telling you a little bit about what they're planning to do anyway, because these people aren't just, as I suspect, racist. They are absolutely 100% classist, which means that they're going to put you in categories based off of shallow opinions, because these people are very shallow. So regardless of what you think about yourself or what you could potentially do, they're going to decide for you what you're going to do for society.
Exactly. They're gonna decide for you what do we think is right for you.
Although,
We make the decisions because you cannot be trusted.
right, all the way down to what gender are you going to be? Because when you grow up, guaranteed you're not really going to have that choice. Because even right now, that choice isn't really being made because you're giving it to a child when they're 6.
You know, those memes where they're like oh, I wanted to be a poet, and then there's the soldier saying, "Go back into the mines." That's exactly what it would be. I wanted to be
Well,
this.
the thing is, most people don't even realize that even the most famous poets. Well, nobody gave half a fuck about them while they were alive.
Yeah, it's
Even in that
usually
sense,
off.
I mean, yeah, authors, poets, musicians. Most of them don't even get. Most of them don't even gain any kind of following until after they're dead.
Probably Hawk Silk. But the moment that happens, we'll be in a dark fucking time. But yeah, back to the whole. It's kind of like Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Nobody really gave a shit about him until he put on the buckshot.
I was gonna say, I mean, he wasn't all that famous, but he definitely gave it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he put his whole heart into it and went after his music career with both barrels.
Well, you could say his
Oof.
music blew people's minds.
Oof.
Oof.
So did the drugs, to be fair.
Well, and I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory, but his girlfriend was probably not healthy for each other, to be honest.
Well,
Lot
she
of
definitely helped. Well, she helped them out a lot. She,
Courtney Love?
have you ever, yeah, have you ever
Pussy
tried
must have been
to, have you ever tried to
pussy.
hold the double barrel backwards? Just saying.
Yeah. Well, the pussy must have been good enough for it to be so mind blowing.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. You know, it always kind of makes me wonder what a lot of these people that died early would think now. Probably thank God I'm not there because it's just stupid. Let's skip that
True.
one.
And
But it
Kirk,
seems like
and last but least, Kurt Cobain. He did die. He definitely did die a great artist. I mean, he did paint a ceiling perfectly.
yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah, that was a
Dunno.
brain attack. You're welcome.
Well, you could say he skull fucked himself.
Uh,
Ah.
yeah, it was a pistol blast.
Shotgun.
Yeah, giving new meaning to paint the walls red.
Mm-hmm.
Red is
We are
enjoying
not
this.
going to stop this story.
It's good to know that most of our friends are just as woke as we are.
Oh hell yeah!
Well, we're just trying to gauge how this conversation's going. So
Oh for fuck's sake!
Uh,
Well, you could say there were 12 reasons why he did it. Actually, no. Didn't he use? It wasn't 12 gauge, was it? It was
I can't remember what gauge it was, but it was
20
a
gauge
shotgun.
actually.
Yeah.
I think it was a 20 gauge.
Well, 12 and 20 are the two most popular. So
Yeah. But if he really wanted to get the job done, he would have used a 10.
well, who knows?
That went dark real fucking quick.
Well, it did. I mean, I knew it
and
would.
he died very shellfishly. All right.
Yeah.
You could say he managed to get access to Oblivion before Rio could.
Mm. I was
He would have
thinking of
put
the
the blacks out.
terminology for what that makes Courtney Love, you know, because it's not Sundari, it's the other one, Yandere. She's Yandere. There we go.
Jesus
Well, I would
Christ.
just say
She's an accessory to
say
fucking suicide.
yeah, accomplice.
Ah,
She didn't want to
shit.
share him with anybody. He's mine,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, hey, beats throwing someone in a meat grinder, but
Yeah, it does, you know. I mean, she didn't eat him,
could have him sandwich at least.
right? I mean, she didn't consume the flesh of her ex, so I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't
Speaking
taste
of,
like Kirk Bacon.
considering I've got bacon on the grill. Be right back.
But the thing is, I mean, you got to admit they were both. At least they were both very pro-vaccine. I mean, Courtney Love was giving herself shots all the time, in her arms, and Kurt, well, he was giving himself. Well, anyway,
Yeah. We are in so much trouble.
We
It's all
probably
great.
are. We have deviated.
Dark humor on this channel. Just remember a reminder that we are not safe for children, but I mean we never were, so there's that. But is it real bacon or American bacon? All of it's real bacon. It's just some of it is better bacon. That's
It's
just the truth of it.
cuts.
Yeah. There's just better bacon. That's all there is to it. Yeah.
I mean, what's the other option? Canadian bacon, or as we call it down here, ham.
Well, that's the thing. The one that you have is ham. The one that we have is Canadian bacon. The thing is it's more
Yeah.
of the muscle meat of the bacon.
That
So the texture's not the same and you don't get the fat
Yeah.
content of the bacon. So yes, I do
Well,
consider your bacon to be a little bit better because I like the fat on it. It's salty
this
and crispy.
this part is my favorite kind of bacon that's down here. Most people think about it and just go, ooh, it's hog jowl bacon.
Ooh.
So basically, imagine their lips cut up.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
That's good stuff.
I was doing a fair bit of look into like real Italian cooking, and they use a lot of the cheek bacon
Oh yeah.
for some of their recipes. So I actually looked into
Well,
trying to find it because it didn't look bad. It looked like a decent cut of bacon. I used to sell prosciutto
yeah.
and what other versions of it that I can't pronounce because I'm not Italian. I am not butchering that language. Thank you very much. Uh,
But I will. Prosciutto.
prosciutto. But like there are a lot of recipes that I know would be a heck of a lot better if I used them because there's a reason they made them.
Prosciutto
God
is
damn it!
not
I could have had lunch meats. Eh.
prosciutto is not decent ham. Any kind of yes, prosciutto is a kind of ham, but the problem is any kind of ham that you can read the newspaper through. It's so damn thin, it's translucent. Not enough.
Well,
To be
that's
fair, if you get some good prosciutto, it does have a lot of flavor to it.
hmm
Mm.
But I mean, that's something that's been aged for a long time, like a really decent one. But yeah, I just know that certain recipes are better with the other bacons, just because it's the kind of fat, it's the kind of salt content, it's the kind of oil you're gonna get from it. If you're gonna make like a pasta, like a
So many
carbonara,
ways to prepare Miss Piggy.
right? Right. I
So
also
many
discovered
ways.
head cheese isn't as bad as it seems. It's just it's not my like if I had nothing else, or if I had a choice between spam and head cheese, I would actually choose the head cheese. I'm just saying, it's got a little bit more texture to it.
I know what you're talking about, but
Sounds horrible?
that will never not be hilarious to me.
Head cheese. I know. It's head
Oh
cheese.
my.
It depends. It depends on the head cheese,
Right.
really. Because I mean, you come down here to the right places. Head cheeses will be, just to say head cheese could be four different things.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
So,
surprised. I'm probably already in the Rule 34 naughty book for saying head cheese. I meant the
I'm pretty
European
sure everybody's bad books for like half the shit we've said this stream.
yes.
mm,
Every stream, I just have a talent for putting my foot in my mouth and I don't even do it.
By the way, I bloody love this stream.
Red thinks that Arby's has the meats. I would agree with that, except for that sometimes I question the quality, and that could just be based off of locations. I know that's a thing too. Who you're getting your beef from, what cut it's from. It's just I'm an
Hey,
Alberta girl. I have standards.
well, to be fair, it was an Arby's meat grinder that I used to grind Miss Piggy, so, you know, just
Uh,
saying.
Arby's does beef,
Still, though, I still one of her, grinders.
but she's a pig, not a
Yeah, not
cow.
my problem.
It's gonna be a weird ass. Yeah, okay, it's all good. You know what?
I just
I've
wanted
heard
to.
of supplementing meats before, and
You try to murder me, motherfucker. I just wanted her dead.
oh well, that's cool. I'm just saying you're using her for the wrong meat grinder. Bacon,
Damn.
ham,
Were you
beef.
really getting into semantics?
Yes, because it's beef versus pork. Do
Jesus.
you really want to surprise people waiting for bacon with beef?
Yeah, especially when I killed the bitch, Red. Ah,
Kurt loves to eat Miss
seriously.
Piggy. Of course he does.
I,
All day.
I am so fucking done with that bitch.
You should be. She was a whore. No,
Oh
actually, she
my.
was just abusive, to be honest. Miss
Yeah,
Piggy
she
was
was a
always
bitch.
so abusive. And I was just like,
Heard her. Hiya! Just fuck off with that. Just fuck right off.
hmm It was also the fact that the feminists still can't admit the fact that she was. Like, everything about Miss Piggy was what they were riling against men for. Physically violent, mentally violent, cut him off from his friends, did it repeatedly, would break up with him for whatever reason, but then get back to him all of a sudden. She was emotionally damaging. She was a mega bitch.
Hi, boy. I think I've got Kermit's got to go to bed.
Aw,
She
poor
made
arms.
Don't,
Yeah, I guess
don't forget,
we've
all
been
in all,
here.
she was also the original Karen.
Yeah, she was. She was. Yeah, she
That
was.
much
Yeah.
entitlement? Oh my god.
What the fuck are you doing, Kermit? Shut up, bitch!
But
Kermit, you fucking dick. You're not my dad, you son of a bitch. I'm enjoying this way too much.
Eat my dick. Yeah, you're not my papa. Sorry, I was going to weird places. So, are you going to
Fair
bed?
enough. No, I was just making a
Okay.
joke about how I was going to retire the Kermit voice for a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's understandable. Don't ruin your voice for Kermit. He's not worth it.
Oh, it's easy to do. It's just I don't know how to slip it in to make it funny. It's purely
Guess the
the
question is, which one had the better relationship between Miss Piggy and Kermit, or Gonzo and Camilla?
I'm not that much of a Sesame Street fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
good
would
because
know.
none of them. That's good because none of them were on Sesame Street.
I wouldn't even fucking know.
Yeah.
Gonzo was the one with the blue nose, and Camilla was the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't she
Fuck,
like
Mark.
almost like Cracker Spurky?
Do
Yeah,
what?
Hulk
Like
Silk. It's
crackhead
almost as
Spurky?
if I haven't actually watched the Muppets or something.
I'm trying to picture the character. I just can't remember if she was like Spurky.
Camilla? She was
Mhm.
a chicken,
Yeah, I know. Or at least I think I do.
and not even like Kermit the Frog, kind of frog, or Miss Piggy's, where yeah, she's sort of a pig, but very human. More.
Anthropomorphized.
Yeah, there you go. Camilla was
AKA
a chicken.
furries
She's never
masturbation
been
material.
right. Camilla's never been anything but a chicken.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to say that she enjoys cock.
Yes.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I can't remember his name. I was thinking of the mammoth guy.
Mr. Snuffleupagus?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, because there's like, Big Bird and then there's Invisible Guy.
Well, Mr. Snuffleupagus, when I watched.
Gonzo never even choked that chicken. Jesus Christ, Red.
I was gonna say when I was a kid, I think there was four mammoths. There was Mr. Snuffleupagus, both of his parents, and then there was a female mammoth. I couldn't remember if it was. I think I remember only seeing the female once, about the same age as Mr. Snuffleupagus. But even in that sense, Mr. Snuffleupagus was basically Jim Henderson's answer to Eeyore.
Mm-hmm.
Had the same temperament. Hi, Big Bird.
It's
Yeah, that
also that
fucker
they
was
made him.
always suicidal.
No, finish your thought.
He tried to inject himself with fucking morphine. How'd you even get morphine? Like,
From Oscar.
how?
Well, when you run out of the green and you run out of the the ganj and you're missing your pot, you got to find something, right?
At least take the Kurt Cobain route for fuck's sake. That's a lot easier,
I remember that meme. I remember when the memes were a meme before they were memes. Do you remember that meme, Trucker? The one with
Which one?
Yeah, Big Bird and
Which one?
Big Bird and Kermit the Frog get high together.
Yes, I remember that one. That
Oh,
came
that
out
was
about the
fun.
same. That's about the same
Really?
time as the joke audio of the Smurfs pretty much tying up and beating the hell out of Mr. Rogers.
It's just because for you, for you, Arms, you probably do remember it and shit. It's just that flashback to how old that fucker is. You're like, holy shit, I remember that. Excuse my language.
Well, that's the whole
Well,
thing.
like I said, I've not
Big
really
Bird.
watched any of the
Hey, Big Bird.
Muppets,
Today is
so
brought to you by the word joint. Sorry.
Yeah,
uh, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that
that
and
time I did guy with Big Bird. Oh my god, the amount of strippers! Yay!
or the Donald Duck has an orgasm. Yeah, that one was good too.
Oh
And then they
Jesus
turned around.
Christ!
Then they came back later and did it was the same script, but it was Darth Vader doing it.
Uh,
I miss humor.
Those are about the same time as Joe Cartoon. You know, was that frog in a blender, hamster in a microwave?
Yeah, they cook cookie dough on spoons with lighters, allegedly. Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. Cookie dough. He really had a problem with heroin.
Yeah, I would.
He was
Yeah,
concerned.
Well,
Though to be
sobriety.
fair, cookies were kind of an attempt at sobriety. It didn't work out so well.
I was gonna say sobriety was an alien concept to all them. I mean, how the hell else do you explain Fitzgig?
maybe that's the problem with our TV is we're not letting our guys go in drunk more often.
Yeah, well, animals still hopped up on some MDMA,
Right?
Maybe a little bit of a crack. All I know is he's still fucking high as shit.
I think Animal they just gave a dose of DST to, and he never came back.
Yeah, yeah, he got fucked up. He got fucked up. Yeah, yeah. Christ,
Yeah, our
Christ.
childhood is very warped. I mean, it's amusing, but it's very warped. You look back
Oh,
on it
yeah.
and you're like, I kind of wish we could go back to that because that sounds like fun, actually.
It's really when people are so. It's not even the people. It's when some rich assholes got so fucking uptight that we couldn't have fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not your average person. Your average person on the street probably is more than fine with dark humor and probably won't cry like a bitch when some random joke happens. But it's rich assholes telling people how or what jokes are acceptable and what jokes aren't that ultimately ruined humor. And it's not like it's not there. It's just it's
It didn't
it's
include
just
them. Or was it about them, or they weren't the one telling the joke?
it's, you know
I'm probably exaggerating that a little bit, but that's how it feels.
it's a lot of it is
Yeah.
it's all started to become creatively bankrupt.
Yes.
And rather than being creative, actually thinking about the kind of jokes they want to make, they think, "Oh, you know what? Let's actually talk shit about people and say how what you think is funny is actually wrong." Rather than actually trying to put fucking effort into their humor.
Well, it's
Rather
that.
than
It's that, or they steal from the other side. Like the amount of times they've stolen a joke, tried to rewrite it, failed, and not understood why everyone was looking at them like you didn't understand the joke.
Not enough about Amy Schumer.
yeah.
Yeah, but you're not laughing at her jokes. You're laughing at her.
No, we're just pitying her because laughter would assume there's something funny going on, but it's just sad.
Well, that and she thinks she was one of the boys. I'm like, you were sleeping with one of the boys, so yeah, maybe.
Someone that thinks that humor requires a lot more finesse than people think. Like comedy is not just a thing you pull off out of your ass.
The fuck it
Oh,
does.
Amy Schumer
Humor.
seems.
The fuck it does. Humor is one of the most primal goddamn things we've got to us. Hell, one of my favorite comedians of all time, basically all he's known for is getting up on stage and going, ah.
Primal,
Fucking
sure, but there is
Sam
still
Kinison,
finesse
all he
to
did
it.
was get up there and scream.
But there is still finesse to it. It has to hit
Yeah.
a certain way. You know, you can't just say something and it just be funny.
Yeah.
It has to be said a certain way. It has,
Well, it's
and
timing.
it's
It's time.
timing. It's
It's timing.
cadence.
It's an intentional kind of recreation to something that it's an intentional recreation to where if something happened naturally, you would mock. So
It's and it's not just that. It could just be a very individual thing. Maybe Jen says something incredibly funny. I probably wouldn't be able to recreate it and make it funny. You know, because there is a lot of nuances to what makes people laugh. So, but yeah,
Sometimes it's just the luck of the timing too, really. It's just
yes,
like you see an opening and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna take it. And you
that's
do.
my yes, and it is absolutely, and it is the best feeling when it hits.
Hmm. It's also being honest about repurchased jokes. I'm not using that word right, but you know what I mean. Like reusing a joke. I don't have a problem with some people doing it. It's just when you're dishonest about it.
It's not even about honesty or
Mm-hmm.
dishonesty. It's about not everyone can crack the same joke.
Mm-hmm. Like
Not everybody has the ability
mm-hmm.
to sell the joke
Mm-hmm.
and it be funny. You know, you could have
Mm-hmm.
6 comedians and you can have like one or two jokes between all of them, but they're going to be saying it the different ways. They're going to be presenting it differently.
Well,
You know,
it's like on Pat's stream. I fully stole a joke from South Park because we were talking about Jussie Smollett and we were making jokes about him being in prison and stuff because, Pat was like, I just kind of want to see him in prison a little bit, like just a little bit. I just want to see him in the outfit. And I was like, it'd be like that one time when South Park released that one episode of Martha Stewart being in prison, because they also made an episode where she stuffed a turkey up her ass before she went to prison. It was funny,
okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
right?
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, what was the latest on that? His brother said they've got him in the psych ward now,
well, because
or the mental wing.
what he said when he at the end of that court hearing when he made that little spiel, kind of
Yeah,
sounded like he was threatening
he went
himself.
he went the McAfee route.
Mm-hmm. Like if
Yeah,
I
it's
get
called Not My
hurt,
Problem.
yeah, if I get hurt, it's because of
Hmm.
somebody else. It also sounds like you're threatening yourself.
Yeah.
At least to the court system. So no, sir, you are not going to hurt yourself. Or if you do, they're going to record you doing it.
Well, if he's getting taken to the psych ward, then he may or may not have just fucked his life up even more than he's realized. Those psych wards do not fuck around. And
Mhm.
that sentence they gave him is effectively null and void, because they can keep him in there as long as they fucking want. Good job, Jussie. You fucked yourself again.
Well, the thing is, when it boils down to it, he was given 150 days.
Mhm.
From what I've been able to figure out, as far as Cook County goes, their rate of good behavior is every day without an incident is a day towards good behavior. So even if his sentence was 150 days, he would have been out in 75 in just over 2 months. And at this point, if he's acting as bad as they say they're acting, there ain't gonna be no good behavior for him.
Well, if he's being done for psychological issues, then he fucked.
Well, if
You
he's in
know.
for I mean, if they end up admitting him somewhere for psychological issues, what if he gets put in? If he gets, you know, um,
Like if they
institutionalized
transfer
somewhere,
him to a psych ward,
it's
then he's fucked.
Yeah, it's
that
going to turn.
75 days ain't gonna matter.
Yeah, it's going to be decided when they decide he can go. That could be
Exactly.
years.
It could be the rest of his fucking life.
Yep.
Which is why you should be very careful with the words you use in a fucking courtroom, people.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Like what I heard him say, literally to me, sounded like somebody who was crazy enough to threaten himself at the expense of the judicial system. You know, because he's already punked people with this fake outrage shit that he pulled. And at the end he's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, I'm not suicidal, blah blah blah." Well, if he gets a bruise on his head or anything, if he gets his scratch, he could be like, "See, they're abusing me." You know, cuz he sounds crazy like that when you talk like that. And now they
Yeah.
don't know if you're going to actually try to hurt yourself cuz he could actually be that kind of crazy.
And if they can prove it, then he's effective. Look, from maybe losing a job at Empire, he's destroyed himself.
Mhm. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't possibly people behind him who've maybe gotten the thought in his head, because my understanding is a lot of people are getting this opinion that he is kind of an idiot too. Like a lot of his stuff has just been kind of done in a way that's just like, really? You thought that would work? Which makes you wonder if somebody was like giving him those ideas, and it's either you look at his family like, were that was that you? Or you look at the other people around him, and we already know
Well,
that, you know.
it was all premeditated. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he fucking smoked a joint with the Ice and Dyro brothers. Like, come on.
I think the most damning evidence on him was the fact that they recorded the rehearsal.
Yeah. It's like, and even then, the fact that it's only like he was sentenced to only 150 days, even though it was so heavily premeditated, it was a crime of opportunity as well. And it was so he could get a leg up
Mm-hmm.
because at this point, I think he was about to lose his job in Empire anyway, if I remember correctly, or wasn't getting paid enough or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think
That
it's
would
his leg that he should have raised then. Just saying.
it just seems like that sounds like a high up chance of reoffending
Mm-hmm.
right there.
Because he
That that
hasn't
that
learned from his mistake.
yeah, that just sounds like a whole load of aggravating factors right there. So to hit only 150 days, it's not enough. Well, you know?
It's not, but he also played the card of, well, you know, if they put me in jail for a long time, it's because I'm black. So they were kind of
They've
like,
already gone that route.
you know.
His family's already said that.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, yeah, anybody else in that position, white or otherwise, wouldn't have gotten away with it. He got away with it because he's a rich man.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's just
Well, the big thing about the whole mess was when they started calling him out for it. They originally charged him with all the the false police report, fake hate crime. They charged him with all that stuff at one point, and then one of my, Kim Fox, Michelle Obama's friend,
Yeah.
came through and actually dropped all the charges.
Yeah.
And if he had
oh,
just kept his mouth shut, and when they said, okay, well, we want you to pay the amount of we want you to pay what the investigation cost us. Just reimburse the city or the county for for the money that the investigation cost. It would have all been dropped. But it's the fact that he turned around and kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing on that
also
fake
that
goddamn
sounds very
narrative.
shifty. That Michelle Obama's friend.
Yep.
That wow, that totally doesn't sound like something with someone with a high amount of privilege that you can get the former first lady's friend to get you off.
Yeah. And that's the thing is he would have been completely. It would have all been swept under the rug if he had just kept his mouth shut and written a check. He
To
wouldn't
be
be in.
fair,
Mhm.
he wouldn't be in this fucking mess if he didn't fucking commit the crime in the first place.
Well, that is true. I mean, hell, the kind of stuff that people that are on the side of Jussie Smollett are doing, they're kind of proving their big narrative false because they're all saying, well, if this was, if it wasn't a black guy that had done this, the person wouldn't have gone to jail. Well, Jussie wouldn't have gone to jail if he had just dropped it. He would have been out of it. That is that quite literally is privilege.
Yeah,
More than I got.
more than most people got, for fuck's sake. Imagine
Yeah.
getting the friend of the former first lady to just fucking drop your charges for you.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure there should definitely be an inquiry in on that, but they're probably never gonna do that because fuck it.
Actually, I think there was an inquiry, which is why which is why when this happened before all the charges were reinstated, Kim Fox actually got taken off of the case. Now I don't know
Ooh,
whatever happened to her, whether she was suspended or lost her job or anything like that. I can't remember, but she was taken off the case because of it,
what a conflict of interest.
big time.
But yeah,
It's one of the few cases. It's one of the few cases at this point these days where you know the whole lopsided friend of a friend and nepotism thing backfired. That doesn't happen that much these days.
yeah, it should happen a lot more.
It should.
But holy fucking shit, yeah, if he did shut, and even then, the president even got involved on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even the president is fucking backing Jussie Smollett, even though he did commit the crime.
Yeah.
He did fuck up. It's like,
Yeah.
and last year, this is the very same fucking president who'd gone full fucking shade on someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, wrongly so as well.
It's almost like he
Seriously.
reads from a script.
Yeah, almost. And even then,
It's
wow. The fact that she's still a DA even after that, fucking hell. I feel like the United States
The
may
county is
need.
Chicago, so
Yeah, Chicago is Chicago.
yeah. Oh, Miss Lori, who gets scarier every time I see her. She just gets a little bit more like Beetlejuice, and I thought that was funny at first, but now I'm like, okay, come on, lady.
Yeah, he
well,
kind of has Hawk still.
yeah. Well, in a sense, yesterday. Remember, in a sense, yesterday, yesterday, the day before, last few days, there was a press conference where, if you want to sit and read between the lines of what she said, she kind of admitted that BLM did what what that she was instructing them to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ, BLM are a fucking whole other thing. Jesus Christ.
They are.
Well, it's true. It's true. I mean, well, so in the last day or so, there was a press conference where a reporter asked her somewhere along the lines of um, all the random damage that the out of control riots um, caused, and her response was, "Well, those protests were not out of control, and those protests were not random." Oh, so you're admitting you directed it?
Yeah, not
Yeah, be
only
careful what you
that,
say there, Laurie.
yeah. But the thing is another Canadian YouTuber by the name of Short Fat Otaku actually made a couple
Mhm.
good videos about how BLM don't even represent the people that they claim to represent.
Mhm.
Well, that is truly the case. I mean, hell, all you got to do is listen. Even on that sense, just listen to was that Black Conservative Perspective
Mhm.
and Eric July? Yeah, Eric July, Young Ripa. Hell, they'll both sit there and just point out inconsistencies with BLM over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
There's actually a lot of black YouTubers who are saying that. Like they're
Oh
coming
yeah,
out of the woodworks just because they're kind
yeah.
of tired of it.
There have been
yeah.
cases where
Mhm.
BLM have overlooked, potential injustices for black people
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
for
Oh
for
hell.
political bullshit.
Oh hell. When it comes to BLM, God, I saw this one on Ruined Leon the other day, where there was some press conference and somebody got up talking about now y'all know those white privilege cards and the black cards that are listed as race cards they're set up to look like credit cards that you can get on Amazon, pack 5, 10, 15, whatever, right?
Mhm.
These people got up and started talking about how racist these cards were. Motherfucker, those cards were meant to make fun of people like you.
Yeah, yeah. The idea I think is fine, but even it's yeah the organization absolutely has hurt more black people than helped.
Yep. What was that guy's name? David Dorn? Didn't help him out too much.
No,
Yeah,
they turned a blind eye against him, you know, which is a shame because
and if anything, BLM is a good example of well-meaning people at the bottom, but money-hungry cunts at the top that only care for themselves. That's what BLM is.
Yeah.
Idealistic and honest people at the bottom with self-interested pricks that will rather stuff the pockets of themselves and their ilk.
well, it's why they won't talk about any other issue coming from the black community. It's only one issue, and it's the one issue that they think gets them the most money, and it works. Clearly.
Yeah. Well,
It's
yeah,
one.
clearly enough. If one of the if one of the main faces of BLM could buy her own house in
Four houses
Or 3 or 4.
yeah, 3 or 4,
for family members that conveniently can't take care of themselves. So I'm like, yeah, they're not living on their own, right? That's not how that works.
it's just fucking hell. That organization is just dirt.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like a
And
lot of
Yeah.
these big organizations. It's why I don't really I haven't donated to a big organization in almost 15 to 20 years because I learned that everyone at the top is kind of like that. They're like, "Yeah,
yeah,
we're going to save the world." Well, I'm buying,
Well,
a jet and a mansion and all these other things. Yeah, we're gonna save the world. And you find that out, and you're like, I wasted my money on this shit.
yeah,
the weird thing is when it comes. Okay, I'll give you an example. Definitely that shows how BLM is
Hmm.
how warped they are in a sense. So go sometime, have a look at now. I guess they're called the audit community now. I guess at one point they were all the cop watchers, right?
Hmm.
Go look at all of them. Look at how people like them who pretty much stood for the same thing that the only legitimate thing that BLM, the whole BLM movement, not that organization, you know, they stand for the same thing: anti-militarization of the police. But problem is, they were all set up to look like crackpots until, let's be fair, the Democratic Party came along and started saying, see those people over there? We agree with them. Well, they've been saying the same thing as the cop watch community has been saying for decades at this point.
Mhm.
Where the hell's the difference?
Mm. I
I
think
mean, and the thing
it's
is, it's like going to YouTube right now. Was it San Joaquin audits, audit the audit, James Madison audits, lackluster channel. All this. All these auditors, right? Auditors and um, legal examination channel or police interaction examination channels, I guess you can call them. BLM's kind of like doing the same thing that these people have been doing for years. And why the hell do you care about police brutality now? Where were you before your people decided to get involved?
exactly, and it's all claptrap. It's
It is.
all claptrap from from the BLM crowd. From
Well,
you
not
know,
just the BLM crowd, the people who get brainwashed by the BLM shit. I mean,
yeah,
hell, I've got a cousin who I've gotten in arguments with because she would sit there and ask me, "Well, what do you think about BLM?" I think they're a bunch of grifters. Well, why? You know, why? Because she says why? Because she supports BLM. I told her you're just as bad of a grifter as everybody else because when it boils down to it, what the hell did you say to people like me when we were talking anti-militarization of the police? Oh yeah, you thought we were crazy because a guy you liked was in power at the time.
mm. And it is all just a lot of it is an exploitation of people's kindness in that regard as well.
Oh yeah,
Because when you think about it, saying Black Lives Matter, yeah, everyone can agree on that. You know, all races matter. Everybody matters. But that's
life
not what.
matters. Period.
Yeah, but then they then go beyond that. It's not. It's not then just Black Lives Matter. It's a whole host of up. It's a whole host of other issues. Then beyond that, it's you know, and that's when shit really goes awry. Because how?
Well, I think it was Terry Crews actually said it best when it comes to the BLM movement, where they say Black Lives Matter, but the thing is, they've gotten to the point where they're now saying Black Lives better.
Mm, yeah, and this is sort of the left in general. You know,
Yeah.
you can say that racism is bad, and the left will take that into account and then run with it and try and espouse their bullshit on top of that.
Yeah,
And if you don't agree with them, then you must be a racist because hell, we don't like racism. We're not the ones with the problem. You are.
right.
The left really
Race,
loves
yeah,
the left.
racism is bad on all levels. Well, except Sicilians.
Well, I
I
mean,
got to draw the line somewhere.
there
Fuck
was
them.
even a point back a couple years ago where they were trying to convince themselves that it was somehow normal. That, well, all white people are inherently racist. Almost as though they were trying to convince themselves that it's normal then.
And even a,
Without
and
even realizing that, okay, so they're saying all white people are racist. So you're establishing a trait to somebody based solely on their skin color?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Oh, yeah.
and even their definition of racism doesn't hold on up to their logic. Because their definition is prejudice plus power.
Mm-hmm.
Which
In the
ironic,
United States,
which
in
still establishes them as racist because all they because
they have
hell
the
look
power to make such a definition.
Mm-hmm.
right. And when it looks like it, you know, whether it's justified or not, if somebody slaps you with that label of being racist, you're done. I mean, that's how
Yeah,
Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton made all their money. They walk up to somebody and said, "Well, you're going to donate, $10 million to us. Why? Because we're going to call you racist if you don't."
Yeah, exactly.
That is how they made their money.
Yeah.
And that is power.
Yeah.
And by definition, by their definition, well, in every definition, that would be racist.
Yep.
But even when they have changed the definition of racism, it somehow can be blown back on them because their definition still makes them out to be fucking racist.
Oh, it is. And Jesse Jackson was actually a hell of an example of that. When it comes out to all these definitions of racism floating around, did you notice how Jesse Jackson pretty much fell off the map when Trump was president?
Mm.
That's because whenever he tried to pull, sit there saying Donald Trump was racist because he didn't like his politics, people started pointing out to Jesse Jackson, weren't you the one who gave him a reward for helping out the black community?
Because they're pretty good buddies, actually, or at least they were. It's amazing what
They were, yeah.
politics, yeah.
Well, to be fair, Trump and judge of character are two things that do not go together.
Well, that is true. Hell, if honestly, when you want a good judge of character, as far as Trump goes, just listen to any interview. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them on YouTube where, of all people, Joe Brown, you know, was actually being, interviewed about what he thinks of Trump. That says a lot right there.
Hell, Trump is such a poor judge of character that even his fucking lawyer stabs him in the back.
True.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, on a good note, was he was such a, he was actually such a bad judge of character. In a sense, sometimes that backfires in a good way. Hell, that's it backfired in such a way to where somebody broke a contract with him so bad that she ended up getting sued and became the first time in history that a prostitute paid her client.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And
Yep.
then her lawyer ended up going to jail for being kind of.
Oh, Michael Avenatti, the porn lawyer.
Oh, I still remember when Avenatti was actually, quote unquote, questioning her on the stand. He's like, well, what do you think? What do you think about a lawyer that works for free? Well, you did, and I'm a poor judge of character. So she found a way to turn every question he had back on her. She was a spiteful bitch during that questioning.
Oh, Christ. And then Avenatti was a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he tried to
True.
exploit her too, though. I think he did.
Everyone
As dumb
was
a thing
trying
as
to
she
exploit
did,
everyone.
I'm kind of glad
That-
she got her own a little bit for it.
Yeah, was it? What was the latest thing he went to jail for? He forged the documents. He forged documents to and sent them to the publisher to have any money from her book sent straight to him, and then spent it.
Wow.
Fuck.
You picked the wrong
And this-
lawyer, bitch.
And since that pretty much got mentioned right there, it's still worth it to say that this is the man that CNN thought should be president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, though I'm pretty sure he'd be ineligible to be president at this point.
Yes. Yes, because one of the charges he had is a felony.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
only requirements to be president in the United States is, well, actually, no, not even, no. No, you can actually do it and still you can be a felon and still do it. The only two
Really?
requirements is over the age of 35 and natural born citizen. Out of the three of us right now,
You would be the only one that could ever be
I'm
president.
the only one that could ever be president because I was born in the U.S.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
Even
having
though
the
actually,
rumor of
even
not.
though if you want to, even though according to some, like the thing I love about some Trump supporters, according to them, I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Damn, since when?
Because I've had several go arounds with people on Twitter where I ask them what is the definition of U.S. citizen. They say somebody born in the 50 states. Well, I wasn't born in the 50 states. I was born in Washington D.C., which is not a state. It's a
Yeah,
district
yeah,
city.
yeah.
So by their definition, I'm not a U.S. citizen because I wasn't born in the United States. I
But
wasn't
even
born in the
then,
50 states.
the US also has a very interesting thing where you can also be a naturalized citizen because it's specifically naturalized citizen,
Right.
I believe. If at least one of your parents are American, but you were born on foreign soil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even
That's specifically how was John McCain became president because wasn't he born in Japan or Germany?
I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's you could be born anywhere, but as long as one of your parents were American citizens, you could still become president from that.
Yeah. It's either you're born inside the United. Okay. At one point in time, it was if you're born to a U.S. citizen, so one of your parents has to be a U.S. citizen. But then on top of that, that's why the big question was there was talks about Obama's mother had renounced her U.S. citizenship. If that was before or after, if she actually declared that and it took, I don't know. But if it was a matter of if it was before or after he was born, if it was before he was born, eh, the proof of him being born in Hawaii has to come up. But if it was, if it's after or if it's after
If it
she
were
renounced her
after he was
citizen, he would
born,
have had to. Right. So it's kind of
yeah.
weird. But
If it was
at one
before he
point,
was born, he would have had to prove that he was born in Hawaii. If it was after he
it,
was born, he would have
she was
been
still a citizen,
naturalized.
therefore, right,
Yeah, naturalized.
right. But at one point in time, it was considered you had to be born to a U.S. citizen and on uh, U.S. territory, or it was just pretty much born to a U.S. citizen. The whole if you were born in the U.S. or not in the U.S. that actually came along later.
Okay.
That whole anchor baby concept.
Yeah.
That's actually in the terms of the U.S. That's actually only really a recent thing.
But yeah. Yeah. I assume that would also count with the Philippines because that is a U.S. territory, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Is it not?
No, but Puerto
Puerto
Rico,
Rico.
what's
Yes,
it?
I was getting the two
Puerto
confused.
Rico, Guam, Samoan Islands, Virgin Islands. I mean, there are several territories. Yes. Hell, there's all kind of people who always show themselves some kind of stupid when somebody from Puerto Rico comes to the mainland of U.S. and run around, and somebody's sitting there, doing the whole "Let's see your green card."
Don't need
Puerto
one.
Rico's, yeah, it don't need one. Puerto Rico's U.S. territory, so yeah, go
Yeah.
figure.
All right. Well, I'm thinking we've got like about 8 minutes till this stream has been 2 hours, so we're pretty close to a good time to stop. Do you guys want to talk about anything else? Get anything else out? Like, do you got stuff on the go? I know Tracker's working and stuff, but what about you, Arms? You guys have
Yep.
stuff on the go? It's your birthday tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, considering that my monitor is still broken, I can't really do anything.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
monster is still broken.
Yeah, I broke my PC monitor a few days back.
Dude.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, if it helps, I got a story I can tell you about my laptop later.
Oof. Really? Damn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ah. Okay. Well, what do we do then? All right. Well.
we'll just say it's an unfortunate thing happened out of my PC or out of my laptop when I was unemployed.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Eh.
Oh, and that was not cheap.
no, but it's actually a work in progress now. So
Well, at least you're getting it back up and running then.
yeah,
Because, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, especially right now.
yeah. All right, so we'll tell you what. If we got a few minutes, and a lot of people are probably interested. So what had happened was obviously, it's been established. I from January until a week ago, I was unemployed. Um, Towards the end of January, I actually got credit the old-fashioned way. Took my laptop to a pawn shop, and it was actually using the laptop to borrow against it so I could pay the mortgage. And it was sitting, you know, I pawned it, and not expecting to ever get it back, I wiped the hard drive. Did a hard,
Oh.
I did a, I did a complete hard drive or wipe of the hard drive because I honestly never expected to see that computer again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, a month later, that gave me, and I had 30 days to get it out of Hawk, and I had no intention of getting out of Hawk. Now, the reason I did it the borrow against it, and instead of just flat out selling them, is you can get more money if you borrow against it. And 3 days before the deadline to give them the money back, in our budget, um, when my wife and I were doing our budget, I did not plan for taxes. So my wife did our taxes, got us a a refund back, a return on taxes. And one of the first things she did with the money from the taxes was go get my computer out of Hawk, because apparently a comparable laptop to my laptop would actually cost me about twice as much now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, but you're hearing that you wiped your hard drive and you've got it back now. Oh, that hurts. That hurts on a deep level. I am so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I've been reinstalling everything for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. The good thing with Steam is that, well, good thing with like most of that stuff is that you can get your save data back.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, we're
but still,
glad. We're glad you got at least most of your stuff back. You know.
yeah,
Well, I mean, any kind of like pictures or videos and all that, they were all kept on an external hard drive anyway. So I mean, all that's got. I saw that. All that is just all the little softwares and tweaks and all that I did to that computer is just restarting from zero.
fair enough. And Hawk Silk, that question's been answered right as that came up in chat.
Was what came up in chat?
No
Hawk
backups.
Silk asked no backups at all. That was quickly answered.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, any kind of private memento stuff. I learned my lesson the hard way that on my original YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I learned that quickly
Mm-hmm.
because see, Hawk Silk. When at one point I had a YouTube channel. Well, actually, I still do, but the original incarnation of my channel had a bunch of private videos that were my eyes only, stuff like uh, uh, videos of my first wife and myself, and I was pretty much using that before Dropbox was a thing. Unfortunately, that channel got flagged and deleted, and everything got taken away, including all those private videos. Oops.
yeah. Kind of why storing digitally isn't always the best thing to do.
Right.
Sometimes just having a physical backup is helpful
Yep.
to save.
Yep. So 1 6 terabyte hard drive later that I don't carry with me, I'm sitting at the house.
Mm. Yeah.
Alrighty. No, that sucks though.
Well, at least you've got your laptop.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I was thinking, there's really no safe way to really save everything, because like I remember back in the day, the switch over to computer stuff and the justification was like, well, what if your house catches on fire? No shade to BG or anything, but like that's a thing for photographs too. Like
Yeah.
hardcover, you think, oh well, maybe I'll just go back to that, and no.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Just get as much possible backups as you can is really the best idea when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty
You
much.
can never have too many backups.
Well, it's the 2 hour mark, or at least it will be in 2 minutes. And to be quite frank, my neck is killing me, so I think I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming out. This was fun. I had a lot of fun. Thank you both for coming, because I was missing my hostess with the mostest, but she's got the families, which is good. And yeah, we will be back on Wednesday. I believe BG is going to be continuing with her
Needlepoint.
needle points, and we're always talking about something to do with either Canada or autism, or whatever the fuck we want. To be quite frank, which is nice. And then I also do Minions on Wednesday with Hammer and Terry, and then again on Fridays. So yeah, and hopefully we can get you back up and going again, Arms. Like I know that's gonna take a little bit, but at least it's a monitor.
I'll be back up and running before you know it, and at least it wasn't a whole goddamn PC.
Right? I mean, in a monitor, honestly, if anything, it was that you lost. It was a monitor.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
it was a nearly
between that and the
10-year-old.
keyboard, where you're like, well, it still sucks.
It still sucks, but you can replace something like that. It's no biggie in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, in comparison to the computer part, yeah.
Yeah.
And
and
we
it was
are
over
all super
10 years
glad to
old
have
anyway.
Tucker back. Mhm.
Yeah, that as well. But yeah, the monitor was almost 10 years old anyway. It was long due for a replacement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I can just imagine you with your new monitor when you start playing your games again. Yeah, sometimes that little thing makes it fun for no reason.
Just something small like that.
Mhm.
But yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, we are at the 6 o'clock mark, and I believe everybody is in Cheers. So anybody who follows us on Discord or knows Peter Almond's Discord, we're in Cheers. I hear from the red. And we will talk to you folks later. Thank you for coming out. There's this button.